Welcome to Lock In with Bella. From the block to the bigger picture. We don't just talk about it, we see through it. I'm Bella. Let's lock in. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about is we're going to continue on with what Candace has exposed in this her investigation as far as the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, many are speculating that there's a chance that he's, still alive and that he faked his death or whatever the case is. I'm not sure about how I feel about that situation. It was very clear that it was going to be hard to have pulled that off with the injury that he received, as well as the many other things that was noticed in those videos that came out. But what's going on now as far as Candace and the many other people that's investigating this situation is they have dived into the wife and, just her dealings because of the many different lies and things that she has shared over the course of her stepping into Charlie's position. One thing I do want to say about this situation and what I've noticed in the situation, and I'm going to give you my opinion on this thing as far as what I see in her when I look at her and hear what she says, and just based on the past things that she has said while in Charlie's presence and while they were talking in public. One thing I've noticed about her and what Candace is kind of exposing about her is, first off, she does lie a lot about different things. I don't know if this is just something that she's taken on and that she's been doing throughout her life because she's doing it so naturally now. But the things are being exposed very quickly because she has said a lot of different things in the media that has easily been able to be debunked, honestly. So it's like she'll say one thing and then people will be able to easily prove that what she said was not the same thing she said the last time, or the stories don't connect, or there's different stories being told, and so those things are easily able to be discovered. So what Candace is doing now, that she's diving into the life of Erica, and I want to first off protect myself by saying these are my opinions only. And I'm going to use the word allegedly, even though a lot of these things that she have said has been already debunked. And you kind of can't hide those different things. I mean, it's a lie being exposed is a lie being exposed. One thing I'm going to tell you that I've noticed about her, and I did not want to even look into her, but it's just too many things that's coming up about her that is not sitting right with me in my spirit. One thing I noticed about her is when Charlie was alive, she had a certain view as far as the impression she wanted to give off to the public, and it's kind of the same impression she wanted to give off in the public now, but it has kind of slid into who I feel like is who she truly is. Although she is still lying, she is still revealing her true nature within these lies. So in the beginning, when she was with Charlie, she was expressing the fact that, to be a mother and to be home with your kids and different things like that, because those was the traditional values that Charlie wanted for a wife. So she had to keep up that image, and that is what she expressed during her time when he was alive. Now, after he's passed away, you can kind of see that she has completely shifted from that role that she was expressing that she loved, when she was with Charlie. So that's one thing you can tell right there, is that she didn't really feel that way about that situation. What she was saying about the traditional woman and the wife and being there for your kids and not working and all of those things that she was expressing before, she did not really truly feel that way. She just was saying that because that is what her husband wanted. And so one thing I will tell you about, as far as if there's something that if it's a lifestyle that you don't want, but you're just taking on because of the husband that you have, you can grow resentment towards that person because you have to be in that role that you don't want. Now, what Candace has discovered over this time about her is that she has very much, throughout this time and throughout her life, wanted to be famous and wanted to be in the limelight and wanted to be front and center, woman in power. That's the role that she gave off the impression that she wanted prior to her marrying Charlie Kirk. And when she married him, she had to take a back seat to that. So my thing is this, that can stir up resentment. So people are asking now, why is she not as remorseful, and why she's moving forward and she's getting into politics and taking on the role of Charlie very easily because it is something that she always wanted to do. It's something that she always secretly wanted to do, but she could not do it because that's not who he wanted as a wife. And so what the excitement, this is what I'm saying, the excitement from her being able to be shifted in these roles of being in the limelight, being in the front and center on stage, getting that attention that she's always craved throughout her life. That is why there was a short grieving time for her. That's why she jumped right into action, because this is the moment she's been waiting for in her life. Now, all you have to do is really pay attention to what she's saying now. She's giving off the single parent, woman in power. She's giving off that impression now. Although she's still speaking biblical wife, Proverbs woman, she's still speaking that. All you have to do is pay attention to people's actions and you will see the truth, no matter what they're speaking. So that's what I noticed about her, is that I feel like she never felt that way that Charlie felt about being a traditional wife, the woman. She didn't want to be in the home continuously with the kids and not thriving and doing her own thing. She always gave off this impression, which some of the things people have spoke about as far as her having these businesses and different things like that. She loves to speak about her accolades and the different things that she's done in her life. She spoke about her mom and how her mom was a single mom and how she was a powerful woman and how she moved and shaped in this world. She spoke about those things, so you can tell that that is something that she admires and something that she wanted for her life. But she took a back seat to those things when she married Charlie, because that is who she wanted to marry, someone who had power. But I feel like she wanted to marry somebody that had power so that they can pull her in to that limelight, to pull her into center stage. And I feel like he gave her little small moments where she could do that, and those times she was happy about it, but it wasn't enough. She wanted to be the one, you know what I mean? She wanted to be the one in the front seat of things, you know? So you can tell that's basically what's going on now, is that the reason why she's taking on this role, and she hadn't had enough time to, I don't know why I heard repent, but I guess she need to repent. I don't know why I just heard repent. So that's something she might need to do. Well, I ain't gonna say might, because that's what I just heard. The fact that I feel like she's being exposed this much right now, she's being exposed because she's using God's name and she's giving off this impression that she's one way when she's another. All you have to do is pay attention to people's actions. A lot of people have questions about how they feel like her crying and different things. It's fake. People are really overly analyzing her at this time. They're saying that they don't believe her remorse and the different things that she's saying. Her tears is fake. They saying all kind of stuff, right? The thing is that even if she did have remorse, you got to understand she is in a place where she's been waiting for this moment all her life. So yes, she may have had a little moment of sadness, but she has more excitement. And that's what people are saying, is she's excited, she's laughing, she's happy, and all of these things just happen to her husband. And that's the thing that they don't see as normal to her. But you got to understand, if you have been waiting for this moment in your life and now you're center stage and they've gave you the reins on Charlie's whole organization and his legacy, and you're the person that's the front tier, the front man, she's excited about those things. This is something she's been waiting for her whole life. Now, one thing she mentioned in one of her interviews, and that keeps sticking with me, her saying, home needs you. She said Charlie would tell her that home needs her. When she would say, oh, well, do you want me to go to this event with you? I'm going to go to this event with you. He would say, home needs you. So you got to understand, when somebody say home needs you, that means they are set in their ways and they want you home with the kids. I think that in the process of him saying that, I feel like she started to grow resentment from him saying that, because she didn't want to be home with the kids. She wanted to be in the front and center on stage with him. This is what you got to understand. Some people want that lifestyle as far as housewife and tending to the kids. Some people want that and some people don't. Throughout her resume of different things that Candace and them has dug into her life, you can tell that she has always wanted to be in the limelight. She's made many attempts on getting on different shows. She's did pageantry. She's done a lot of different things, although in the media she makes it seem like she's very humble and she doesn't like this type of attention. You can tell she loves it. So that is the reason why She's not showing a lot of emotion. She's taking the reign, and she's taking the torch, and she's moving forward. And that's why people are looking at her weird, because they're like, you don't seem sad about anything. This is the moment she's been waiting for all her life. She's been waiting for this moment. Okay? And so people are dissecting the fact that Charlie, another thing about Charlie is that he spoke about very much the woman's role in the household and how they need to be watching after the kids, and that's why a lot of these different things are going on, because the women have been taken out of the household and have been, went into the workforce. He spoke about that a lot. So the story that she's telling now, where she's saying that Charlie wanted her to take on his position and his role, do all of the things that he was doing. This is what she's saying Charlie wanted, when everybody who actually watched Charlie or even heard just a few things of what he said knows that that is not true. Let me tell you why it's not true, for many reasons. One is he has traditional values. He's made it very clear what he feels a woman's role is in this world, and where he thinks that where they will shine and where they're most needed, right? He's made that very clear. But also another reason is I don't really see him wanting her to go into a position that got him unalived. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's something that took his life. Why would he want his wife to go into that same position where he felt threatened, where he felt all of this pressure, and her being removed from the kids? He's already been removed from the kids, so why would he want her to go into that role and deal with those same things? That's just for that simple situation. So for her to say that, that's where she made the mistake. They're making it seem like the things that they're doing, they keep using his name to make it like this is what Charlie wanted, even though everybody who ever watched him or knew him knows this is not what he wanted. They using that because everybody that's backing Charlie and everybody that's looked up to Charlie and really admired him and loved him, that's the only way that they will accept the actions that they're taking, is if they throw his name in front of it. So they speak very much about Charlie and what his wishes is, and that they're doing what he wants them to do. But the thing is everything that they're doing now is opposite from what Charlie spoke about. This is, all of these things is making them look guilty. Every single one of these things is making them look guilty. And if they needed to know why people were watching them very closely, is because many people see just that. You would think, this is somebody who spoke a lot in the public. They had a lot of opinions, a lot of views, and people did take into take in consideration what they were saying, and a lot of people did admire this person, so they would have very much listened very closely to what he said, and that's something that they can't forget. They're not going to forget that just because he passed away. Now, I don't know if that's what they hoped would have happened, or maybe they thought people weren't really paying attention to the words they had, or maybe, here it is, maybe they believed that he didn't hold the influence that they thought he did. They didn't find out how much influence he held until he passed away. Even though it was being shown to them, they didn't believe that people really took what he said in high regards, and people really did listen to what he said. So they thought that when they brought this stuff back up and what Charlie wanted, people weren't going to call him on it. So that's the situation with that. She's being looked at because she said a lot of stuff that didn't come out to be true. And that is just honestly making people dig even further into her life and into the life of her past people, the people she's been around, the people who in her family. And I'm going to be honest with you, the people that they're bringing up, and literally everybody surrounded her in her childhood and throughout her life up until the point she met Charlie, has not been on the up and up. They're giving shady vibes. So you got to ask yourself, if everybody around you, the people who are around you are shady, the people around you are dealing in corruption and all kind of other different things, we have to now look at you and we got to ask, are you doing the same thing? So many people are speculating, was she sent in his life, or did they just so happen to meet and it was love at first sight, or love, after they dated for a little while, or was she sent in their life? Based on what being exposed, it sounds to me, and this is just my opinion, that she was sent in. And she was sent in after she was trained on what he likes. So one thing I'm going to tell you about people, especially somebody that's trying to get some form of leverage over you, they're going to study you to make sure that they know a lot about you, so that whatever they send into you, whatever they say to you, whatever they propose to you, whatever the case is, sounds like something you would agree with, right? While in the long run, underhandedly, they're doing something shady underneath, right? So yes, she might have came into this biblical wife, this Proverbs wife, but the thing is, did she come into it naturally? Because how she said is that she prayed to God that she find a husband, and that she got a close relationship with God, and he built her up to be this Proverbs wife. But now the question is, did you go to God to get this Proverbs image, this Proverbs woman's image, or did you be trained because this is something that they studied within Charlie, and they knew that's what he wanted in a wife, and you had to fit the criteria that he was looking for in a wife? Honestly, based on what she has said, and her story has switched up as far as even how they met, she doesn't remember the details of how they met. The story keeps switching around, and that makes me question, who sent you? Who sent you in? You know what I mean? So that's my take on that part. As far as the people that's around him that worked with him very closely, they're using his name too, and it's making a lot of people uncomfortable because they're using his name so very often, and they kind of didn't change the name of the show, even though he's no longer a part of it. They want people to feel like he's still a part of it, and to be okay with the decisions that they're making and the things that they're saying and the lies that they're telling. They tying his name to it because they now see the influence that he holds. Now understand, when you hold that type of influence, and as you know, in many cases in the past, the influence you hold can be the very thing that makes you a threat. And we know this all very clearly. The more influence you hold, the more of a threat you are to people in power, because people are actually listening to you, and they're taking what you say. They're valuing what you say, and they're actually following what you say. So that is why there's a lot of eyes on certain people that are very influential. It's many eyes on those people because they got to make sure. And I don't know why I just reminded. I'm gonna go to this because the Holy Spirit reminded me of this. Jesus. Now remember when Jesus came on the scene. Jesus held so much influence, and people held him in so high regards very early on because of what he's preached, of course, of what his signs and wonders, the fact that he could heal people, the words that he spoke, the actions he took, and how he would get instant results. People knew that he was connected to God. People knew that based on who he was, based on his spirit, and because he carried that spirit, and because of the influence he held, what happened? The people in power, the Philistines, they didn't like him. They did not like him because of what he was saying. He was convicting them with what he was saying, but also they threatened him because, they was threatened by him because of the knowledge he knew, what he spoke, the influence he had on people, the miracles and signs he was able to illustrate through his gift. They didn't like that. Now, any other normal person, like all the other people that looked at him in high regard and who admired him and sat at his feet to gain the knowledge that he was speaking to them, they didn't see him in that way. Because they didn't have this ego. They didn't have the ego. They didn't have that, I'm powerful. I'm like God. People should look up to me and not you. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. So when you get people that's in their ego and their pride, who love the people to idolize them and want people to look up to them as if they're God, that's when you have that problem. You'll have people come up against you just for that simple reason. You may not even feel like you hold that type of power. You may not even realize or even notice that you hold that type of influence towards people. Yes, people are listening to you, but you're not listening. You're not paying attention because you're not in your ego or pride, and nor are you looking for somebody to idolize you. You're not looking at it in that way. You're just helping people. You're not looking at this. God is using you. You're not looking at it. You've taken your hands off, and you like, this is God moving through me. So if they're admiring anybody, they're admiring the God that's in me. But then you have these people who have separated themselves from God, and they want people to look up to them as God. And so what Jesus was doing was pulling a coattail on that. He was bringing up these different things, making them look and search within themselves and question themselves and question the hypocrisy within themselves, and that made them uncomfortable. Here what they are is looking at a man who everybody idolizing, who is doing this very effortlessly, and he's humble. He's not really, he doesn't care about those things. He's not like getting driven and moved by people idolizing him and looking at him in that way. He's doing his father's business. That's what he's doing. He's not worried about any of that stuff. He's not looking at it that way. He's like, my father is who they're seeing when they see me. So you get people in this life, and we all can attest to that too. Their whole drive and their whole identity is built on power, and people looking up to them, and people fearing them, and people respecting them. You understand what I'm saying? And then you get somebody else that they feel is beneath them, that holds much more influence than they hold. They're a threat now, because people may listen to them over them. So this is the reason why I feel like Charlie's life ended, because he held influence over especially the younger generation, which is the ones who they wanted to gain. They wanted to gain those people. They sent him in there to influence the younger generation into their favor. But what I believe happened is, in the process of Charlie talking to that younger generation and starting to hear their views, because he's actually listening, because he wants to help. He knows communication helps with things. But see, they don't have the ability to help. They're like, do what I say. Do what I say. I don't care what you think. I don't care about your feelings. I want you to do what I say. So what they sent them in to influence them to do what they say. But this younger generation had their own opinions. And Charlie started to begin to listen to them. And what I feel is, in Charlie coming in to influence them to see the ways of the those in higher power, he was coming in to influence them to see things in higher power. And I think in the process of him trying to influence them, he began to take in the information that the younger generation was speaking to him, and the things that they noticed within politics and different things like that. And it started to get him, Charlie, to look at things in a different way. Got him to start looking at things deeper and starting to question the very things that he was preaching, the very things that he was trying to influence to the masses. And I think that is where the turn came. And so when I say the turning point, that was the turning point for him. He began to start to look at them differently, because now he's opened himself up to actually hear the views of the people, his peers around him, even the younger generation. And now he's starting to question, like, maybe there's something to it. It's a lot of them that feel this way about it. Why do they feel this way about it? See, when you care about the opinion of other people, you want to see through their eyes, through their lens. So now you're going to start to look from a different perspective. You're going to start to look through a different lens to try to gain, because his point was to bring them into common grounds. But the only way you can do that is hear both sides to bring them together in common ground. But maybe the younger generation side made more sense to him. And I feel like it did, and it started to sway his opinion about things. And he started to speak about those things. And he started to allow them to speak freely. They didn't want him to allow the people to speak freely. He was sent in to influence them. He was sent in to influence them to see things how they seen things. But what he did was he allowed them to speak freely, because his point was, we have to hear all sides of things in order to come together and to understanding and common ground. Now, I didn't agree with some of the things that Charlie said. I never watched him before he passed away. I never was into politics before this, but God has me watching this very closely. So I have listened to some of the stuff, and I didn't agree with everything that he said, but I did understand some of the things he did say, and he did have biblical values. Like he was very traditional. And so because of how this world is shifting and how people want to pull certain things from the Bible and not everything, because they want to still be able to live freely in sin and different things, it kind of rubs people the wrong way. But he's speaking straight from the word. His emotions and feelings is not in it. He's going based on what the Bible says. And some people are not going to like those things. So the thing is this, because of the times we in, yes, we don't, some of the things that is that he's saying as far as that they're going to convict you, but it's the word. It's the word. And there's a reason why God made these things laws, and he put these things in the Bible. Is for a reason, and it's the reason is being shown to us very much every single day in this world that we live in. The fact that we are not following the laws of God in this world we're seeing the effects. We're seeing the effects of that. And so that's all the thing is that Charlie did, is he took those two things together, and he's trying to find a solution. See, there's a difference between just speaking out things and just, recognizing things and speaking them out and just, harping on that and talking about that. But when you're looking for a solution and not just complaining, there's a difference. Me, I'm the same way. I don't like to just continuously keep harping and complaining about a situation. I'm looking for a solution, and the only way for me to find that solution is I have to see the bigger picture of things. I can't just look at it from one side. I have to see the bigger picture. And the problem that they had with Charlie is because he was seeing the bigger picture. He had to see the bigger picture. The thing is he got influenced in the process of him trying to influence them into what they wanted him to do. And I feel like halfway through or in towards the end, he started to see that what they were trying to get him to influence them in was not right. And he started to speak out about it. And you know how that goes. Just like the Philistines. They didn't like what Jesus was saying. And they couldn't stop him because of the influence he held. He held great power. Not power that he gave to himself, but power that God gave to him. But they didn't believe he was connected to God because they saw him as beneath them. Okay? That's the thing. So what did they do? They took him out. Same thing. So that's one thing that we continuously keep going through in our society. If you pay attention to all of the people that has held great influence, that had a movement, we talk about Martin Luther King, we talk about Malcolm X, we talk about all of these different people. I don't know why I said JFK. I just started JFK, so I'm gonna mention it spiritually. All of these people who held great influence and that was trying to change things here for the better, for the people, not for those in power, but for the people, because that's what's important. Pay attention. Every single one of them, they got taken out. So this is the issue we have here in America. This is the issue we have here. We have people in power that want to be God. They don't want you to serve God. They want you to serve them. They don't want you to look towards God's laws. They want you to follow their laws. They don't want you to hold God in high regards. They want you to hold them in high regards. They want you to see them as God and look to them, even though they've showed what happens under their leadership. We've seen what happens in under their leadership, and we don't like it. Okay? Under their leadership, what we feel, how we're treated does not matter. Okay? We can't find peace under their leadership. We find our peace in God. Thank God for that. That's why Jesus said, I leave my peace with you, because he knew that was one thing we was going to definitely need here in this world for sure, was peace. Because it wasn't going to be handed to us here from this world. Definitely not. I pray about that all the time. I'm grateful for the peace that God brings me, even in this times we in, and in this world that we're in, and all the many things that we have to face. The peace is important. It really is. That peace of mind, very important. So that's what I feel about that situation. And a lot of people, I know they wonder, like, why is everybody talking about this Candace Owens and Turning Point thing? I'm telling you, it's all connected together. It's all connected. And if you kind of look into this case and them doing their investigation work, you're going to see the many lies around it, and it's tied all the way up to the top. It's all connected. It's really all connected. And so what they didn't anticipate is they thought they were going to be able to take him out, and then they can just go on and put somebody else in there and see who they put in there. They put his wife in there. So what that told me It's that she was willing to go with the program. And what she's doing now, this is another reason that makes me feel some type of way about her, is because she says she's doing this for Charlie and she wants to fulfill his legacy. But everything that he spoke about and where he was trying to take his legacy and what he spoke about and his views, she's doing the opposite of that. She's doing the opposite of that. She's mingling with the people that didn't like him, the people who possibly aided in, you know, or knew something about him being taken away from her. It's like she's almost like they saying that Candace and them is tarnishing his legacy, but I feel like it's the people who is lying in his name. Because they're saying Charlie had these views on things, even though we have footage of him believing the opposite. So you can't use his name and say something completely opposite from what he said in the past, like his views changed. His views didn't change. He was very clear and very set on what he believed and what he valued. So it's like you're trying to rewrite what he believed because you felt like what he believed and what he spoke in the past was not right, when he was very much right. And so the thing is now, them taking him out, they felt like this was going to give them relief. This was going to give them release because they was getting too much pushback with him. He started to think for himself. He started to want to do his own thing. And that was giving them discomfort. So they thought that him being removed was going to bring them relief, but that relief was short-lived. But that's how God works. You're not going to sleep easy and gain release from taking somebody out of this life. I'm going to put more pressure on you. So what happened? Because he was asking questions and he might have been digging and looking into stuff he wasn't supposed to be looking in according to them. But see, he's a truth seeker. He wants to know the truth. And when you want to know the truth, you start digging. And see, he was exposing stuff and he was starting to notice stuff, and he was starting to speak about stuff that was making him uncomfortable. And that was their issue with him. They wanted him to just move blindly and listen to what they said and didn't question what they said. Is the same thing they want us to do. But see, God has placed us in a place now where those lies is not going to do. Those lies is not going to be enough for us. We need to know the truth at this time. We're going to be hungry for the truth, and that's not by coincidence. It's by design. We are going to see the truth even in their sea of lies. We're going to see it and we're going to question it. We're not going to be in fear of questioning it. But it's the time we're in. The turning point. This is the turning point. That stuff that worked in the past where people didn't care and they was too consumed with their own lives. They were too consumed with scrolling on social media. That time is up. People was asking questions and they ain't going to stop asking a question. If it don't make sense to them, it don't make sense to them. It's nothing you're going to be able to say or do to change their mind about something that doesn't make sense to them. And this whole case does not make sense to anyone. That's why so many people got involved. So many people started looking. So many people started digging into the lives of these people who are telling lies because it doesn't make sense to them. And yes, fine, you know, that happened in the past and a lot of people just moved on with their life and they didn't ask questions, but we're in a different time now. People are going to ask questions. They want the truth. They're hungry for it. And it's time for the truth to come out. So that's my take on that part. I will be covering stuff beyond Candace. I just started with this because God has me watching this very closely. So I felt like he wanted me to speak about this. But as far as how I felt about how these people are looking and all the lies that's surrounding them and how they're being easily debunked and they're you know, it's just really just blowing up in their face. Every lie they tell is being easily debunked. And spiritually, I heard somebody talking and said, because I can hear spiritually, I can almost hear like the plans of what the enemy is sending, and like I hear conversations and different things. And one thing I heard, I'm not sure who it is that said it, but it's somebody from that side. I heard, well, like they're trying to figure out the story. Well, what story can I tell because they're fact checking everything? That's what I heard. What story can I tell because they're fact checking everything? I had to repeat that again. That's exactly what I heard spiritually before I went to sleep. Like as I was falling asleep, I heard that. So now they've been careless with the things that they spoke out, and it's getting fact checked, and they're coming to be seen as liars. And even in the beginning, when Erica was first mentioned, when they started throwing her name in the forefront, I started hearing scapegoat. So the thing is when, because the eyes were so heavily on those people at Turning Point, their eyes were so heavy on them, they needed somebody to put somebody in the forefront. They had to put her in because she's the grieving widow and nobody's going to attack the grieving widow. So they started mentioning her name. And so before she even sat in his seat and took on the name, they started mentioning her name. So you kind of already knew she was coming in because they needed to put somebody in front of them to get the eyes off of them and the questions off of them. And they thought because it was her, people weren't going to attack her or look into her life because she was the grieving widow, which did work for a little while, but she started talking. She started talking. They put her in front of a camera and she started talking. And because it was so many people that already kind of was looking at her in a shady way, she gave them, I don't know, I heard permission. I just heard permission. She literally gave them permission to look into her life. And once they find one lie you told that you didn't have to tell, it just makes people dig more and more and more. So instead of you checking the temperature and paying attention that, hey, people are fact checking what I'm saying, and I need to make sure what I'm saying is truthful because people are looking and able to find things. And they may have been able to take some of the stuff offline, but they wasn't quick enough. People are digging into everything you say. So to continue lying over and over again and just getting exposed over and over again to be a liar or to have been telling lies is, come on, like, why would you continue to do that? And why would you allow yourself to get caught in this many lies, especially if you're trying to get put in a high position? So when she first got mentioned, I already knew, just based on when she came on the scene, I said, they finna try to get her she finna go into politics. Watch. That's what I was telling my sister. I was like, she finna go watch. She finna end up in politics and all this stuff. I can tell. And sure enough, this is exactly, now they saying they up to the point where they like, oh, Charlie wanted her to be president. Really? Now Charlie wanted her to be president. Because he wanted her to be CEO of his company. Even though he wanted her, he said, home needs you. Home needs you. So you want me to believe that he's telling you home needs you and y'all got young kids, so he wants you to be a CEO, and then now he wants you to go into being the president? Really? After what happened to him? Really? See, you can't just tell people just anything at this point. Now, see, that might have worked over the years, and it wasn't that people actually believed them. It's just people just was like, they lie so much, I don't have time to cipher through and dig through everything they saying. Oh, well, whatever. You know, it just got to that point where it was whatever. But that time is over. That's what I'm saying. That time is over, and they're still trying to push it. Like, they're still trying to push it. Like, nah, it worked in the past. They you know, they took it in the past, so it is what it is. But you check the temperature right now. It's not the same. The temperature has changed. People are not just taking what you're saying as face value. They don't believe you. And not only do they not believe you, they're actually starting to speak up about it. They're questioning it. And there's so many people. God has made sure that there's thousands and thousands of eyes on you. Like you was concerned on one person finding out what you was doing in the dark, or one person making you feel uncomfortable because they were digging and they were saying certain things you didn't like. Now there's thousands. You took out the one person and you made it more. Because you took out that person and you lied about that, and that made more eyes on you. More people digging. More people questioning. And it's to the point. Oh, another thing I noticed. Have y'all paid attention to how much mocking is going on? Yeah, I think it's something significant too about that. The mocking that's going on right now it's always been mocking going on, but it's like really a lot now, and I feel like there's something significant to that too. Look at the word as far as what it speaks about mocking as well. I think that's kind of like when he said, I will mock the wicked, because I feel like the wicked has been mocking us for many years. So that mocking thing, there's something significant to that as well. Pay attention to how much mocking is going on now. Also, I did get cut off because I did say something that I probably shouldn't have said. I went too much details, and God doesn't want me to speak about that. or just how I said it. So I'm going to just tell you this. If you want to know where we at as far as in this world right now, I'm going to give you the stories to look at as far as the chapters to read in the Bible, so you will kind of get an understanding of where we are in the world right now. And here it is. Noah's Ark. Look into that story. Pray before you read through these stories again, and ask God to reveal revelations to you through how it pertains to this world right now and where we are in this world. So you want to look at Noah's Ark. You want to look at the story of Pharaoh and the Israelites, and you want to look at Revelations. So that's what I'm going to leave with you guys, to look into those things, pray before you do, and dig deeper into those stories and try to feel the emotions of everybody involved. God, Noah, the Israelites, Pharaoh, all of those. Look at that in its totality, and then ask for revelations for God to reveal to you how it pertains to what's going on in this world right now, and what we're dealing with right now in this world, and what time we're in. So you guys, that's how I see it, from the block to the bigger picture. If it made you think, share it. If it hit, run it back. I'm Bella. Stay aware and stay locked in.